Hello, welcome to another episode of Gabby AF. We got some crazy things happening. We just had SummerSlam, we had a Raw, but we did hit the socials with some news today that shocked me, and I had to bring in my friend, my guy. He loves me. He's the best. I don't know if you hear him on Last Word with Me every Monday night after Raw, but Coach is here to bless Gabby AF for a third time. Hello, sir.
Well, do you know how much I like you, how much I care for you? Because I spent 10 years, over 10 years in the WWE, like 12 or 13. I spent over 10 years at ESPN. So I had almost 15 media interviews to do today, and I did 2. My own radio show at SiriusXM.
Yes, sir.
And this. And I told everybody else, sorry, because I don't want to take away from the other stuff. I'm learning how to say no, but literally I'm the only person that's ever had over 10 years of both places that are in the news today. So you're welcome, Gabby. You're welcome.
I mean, and you saved for the best. We have fun when we talk.
We have a great time.
Saved the best for me.
Yes.
But we got to get right into it because that's the news that we're starting with for sure today.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned ESPN, obviously. WWE PLEs will now be streamed on ESPN platforms beginning 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I have my takes. Got to get yours on this before we even get into this conversation.
It makes sense. It does make sense because Nick Khan is kind of running. He's the puppet master for all of this, and we know that anything that TKO Gabby can do to make money, they're going to do it. Now, this was also. I'll be honest, I was a little blindsided by this. I did not see this type of a deal coming for ESPN because in my mind, I still have a little PTSD.
Yeah.
17 years ago, when I was the very first one to go WWE ESPN. I almost got pushed out because the executives then want nothing to do with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward 7 years, we go to SportsCenter, we go to WrestleMania. Fast forward 10 years now, and they're literally in bed together, but they had to come up with something, Gabby, that their new app, which is going to be the most expensive app in the history of media and sports, $29.99, you got to put something on it. Because why would people download it and pay $30 a month just to get regular ESPN? So they did this deal. They did the NFL Network deal. Rich Eisen, which Seth Rollins has been co-hosting and filling in hosting for. That show is going to be on ESPN. So it would make sense. They haven't announced it yet that in the next little while, Seth Rollins will have his own talk show on this same ESPN app, because I've been hearing that as well. So they're populating it. They're spending billions. But to me, it's going to be a really fascinating experiment to see if wrestling fans will pay $30 a month to get their PLEs.
I mean, I think they will. I think they've come this far and they've downloaded the new things. By the way, how spoiled were we with the WWE Network now looking back on it when we're like
$10, right?
Yeah, it was fucking amazing, but when you have these things happening, when you have the networks, when you have the peacocks, when you have these things going on, it kind of makes sense. I as much as I was blindsided and shocked, because from what I've always been told in media, working at SiriusXM, all these things, ESPN wouldn't touch pro wrestling with a 10-foot pole.
Exactly.
That's not a real sport to them.
Exactly.
It's all about NFL. It's all about, baseball. It's all about these kind of things. We don't care about pro wrestling. So in that sense, what a fucking win it is to be a pro wrestling fan and to be somebody who loves pro wrestling, because we are taking over the realm of not just entertainment anymore, but also sports. Like, Netflix is an entertainment streaming network, if you ask me. ESPN is the sports streaming network and the sports channel. When you think ESPN, you think sports. WWE just took over both. Pro wrestling just took over both. That's how I feel about it.
You're right. But think about it for a second. So let's break that down. The E and ESPN is entertainment. Mark Shapiro, who's the COO at TKO, he was a high-level executive for a long time. Where? ESPN. Netflix is trying to get into the live sports world by buying these NFL games that are going to be, this year they have the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day, and then they pay billions to get WWE. The common denominator, Gabby, for all of this is live events, live sports, live stuff so they can sell advertising. And for ESPN, the whole we won't get into wrestling, guess what? That app that they're putting out on August 21st, it costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. It has to work. And so they're going to go anywhere they can to bring in the most money. Right now, where is that?
Right.
WWE.
Well, and I mean, it's obvious. We just had a 2-night SummerSlam, which brought in their highest number of all time for SummerSlam, but it's because it was 2 nights. We just had WrestleMania in Vegas that made so much money that they're going back to the same place next year instead of switching up what they're doing. You can't say the fans aren't going to pay up because clearly they're going to. You know, I think what pro wrestling has that is very different than other sports. And it's what I've learned being in this business for only 7 years. There is no fan base like the pro wrestling fan base. There's just not. And it grows every year. I think it gets bigger, and the reach that they're trying to make with these platforms only makes it get bigger and bigger. Now they're in movies. Now we have, you know, all these things where you're seeing these people not just on a field, not just on a court, not just in the ring. You see them in commercials, everyday life. So it's expanding now to different ages, to different people. So it only makes sense that ESPN's gonna be like, why would we not hop on this? Because you know you're gonna pay for it. Everyone's complaining, and I get it. I get that, right?
But there has to be doesn't there have to be a line? I don't know where it is.
I don't
know what it does. But the one thing we discussed today was at Peacock, you had the library, very valuable.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that here. You also had a lot of other shows, including other sports, that people could watch and have a selection. Wrestling fans, for the most part, are not sports fans. Right. They're just not. And so on the ESPN app, that's all you're going to have. That's why, to me, I think they'll go through the first 12 months, see what the numbers look like. And if they're not coming in where they want, I think they're going to start being like, well, you can get WrestleMania for $19.99. And because right now you can't get one-offs. And I think they're going to block being able to have it for a month on a PLE that you like and then dropping it and then bringing it back, because that would be the easiest thing to do. But there's got to be a line. There's got to be a number where wrestling fans get to and say, I'm just not going to spend any more. I don't think we're there yet, but at some point we've got to get there. I don't know what that line is.
I mean, the anger that people thought was happening with the Vegas thing, because that to me was my biggest thing where I was like, damn it. Because like I wasn't a fan of Vegas this year. I really didn't. It wasn't my favorite place. I didn't really love how it went down, and I was excited for NOLA. And I think the specialness that comes with WrestleMania is that it's like the Super Bowl and it's in a new place every single year.
Thank you.
But like 100%. And I think you agree, and I think most people do agree. But if you're making, and everyone also complained, right, Coach? We talked about it. Oh my God, they have too many after parties. There's too many shows. There's something every night that they have these people doing every minute. But guess what? Everybody was paying for it. If it was a flop and people weren't going, they're going to show up at one of the most expensive places in the world and do it again. They're not. There has to be a line at some point. I don't think this is going to be that line. I really don't.
I get so frustrated. I really, really do. I've been a part of 17 WrestleManias. And the beautiful part of it is the families and the people and meeting them all coming from all over the world. And I just don't think that people are going to go back to the same place year in and year out. And then I also had a lot of people on the ground just like you there saying, man, it would take 3 hours to get across town to some of these events. Yeah. And the bottom line is WWE doesn't care. Right. They don't care. And that to me hurts my heart. That they go, you know what? We make all this money. We don't care how it happens. We don't care if people bitch, moan, and complain. They'll get there. We'll sell out the $40,000 packages just like they did at SummerSlam. But to me, until and I hate this part of it, but you're right, and the people are right. Until they stop selling out, until they don't have 113,000 people over 2 nights, and until they only make $100 a ticket like Dirt Sheet Dan the other day when he shows up late to buy it on Saturday for Sunday, then nothing's going to change because they have billions to pay back. And now ESPN is in the same boat that the WWE is. They're on the hook for billions of dollars. So they're going to do whatever it takes. And they don't care if you struggle to pay for it, as long as you pay for it.
Right. And I mean, you're also having to keep your other streaming platforms because Raw's still remaining on Netflix, which is also a platform that you're paying for every single month to watch Raw, which that's not something you can like buy for a PLE that you're interested in and then cancel because it's every single Monday night. And they're still going to keep Peacock around as well. So now you're having your fans dishing up so much money just to watch your product live.
Did you see how much?
No.
Do you see the total? If you want to watch all WWE programming, how much the total is?
No.
$516 a year if you want to get all of it. And that's just like the basics.
Yeah.
Because, Netflix has different tiers, but let's say it's $20. Let's say $15 to $20. And then also, you know what these apps do, Gabby? And today, a guy sent in that he just got an email, and this is diabolical what I'm getting ready to tell you. So Peacock just sent out an email to all of their subscribers. I haven't seen mine yet. Probably went to my spam. That in the next couple of months, they're raising their prices a couple of dollars, $3. Why would they do that in September or October? Can you tell me why they would do that in September or October?
They're raising their prices?
Peacock. Because they all do this. They do you get the email that says, hey, well, in the next month, we're going to raise it $1. ESPN Plus, when they launched, was $5.99. You now can't get ESPN Plus for less than $11.99. And when you're talking about 70, 80, $90 million, now you're talking, or 90 million subscribers, now you're adding that amount of money every month. Right. Why would Peacock specifically add $2 or $3 to their monthly price before December? Can you tell me that?
Because I don't know.
All right. So Peacock is going to be losing the PLEs, right? And so ESPN's getting the PLEs, which means there's going to be a lot of people that get rid of Peacock, or there's going to be a lot of people that forget about Peacock. Because I guarantee you, and I know me, I just played for this thing called Cool Math since my kids were 4 and 5 years old, like 2 + 2 = 5. And so Peacock is banking on the fact that people will just let them raise the price. You're not going to cancel it because of all the other NBC shows. Yeah. You're still going to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then all of a sudden, this is the best time because they're losing wrestling. Yeah. So they need to raise the price before they lose wrestling, which is going to be January 1st. That's why they do it in the fall of 2025. It's a brilliant move. Diabolical, but brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is all business and it sucks. But that's like what I've kind of learned too. Like as a fan and someone who enjoys the product, I'm still a consumer no matter what. I couldn't talk to you. I couldn't do what I love to do if I didn't watch the product live. So I have to be doing these kinds of things. And I think a lot of other people, you don't want social media, of course, they'll post these things, but like you want to be the last to hear about and not hear the reaction of Brock Lesnar returning. You want to be the last to hear about this kind of thing happening. Like that's not going to happen. You want to know what's going on. And my question to you is like, do you think this is now going to up the ante when it comes to like other sports? Because, why wouldn't they? If this is successful, why not throw some more things about like football where you're going to have to pay for it? Why not have these kinds of things? And now streaming's just going to take over and you can't really watch anything for free anymore.
Okay. So they already done it. So this is not sports following the WWE model. This is WWE following the sports model. Explain why. Because a couple of years ago, NFL decided they were going to spread out their licensing fees. So right now you can watch NFL on NBC, CBS on Sundays, ESPN on Monday nights, Amazon Prime on Thursday nights, Netflix on Christmas Day. So that's 5, and I'm probably missing someplace, 5 different places that are writing checks to the NFL, which is why it's a $10 billion a year business, maybe more than that. It's why the Cowboys are worth $15, $16 billion. What did the NBA just do? The NBA just redid theirs. Their max salaries in the NBA is now $70 to $80 million. Luka, in 2 years, will sign for $400 million a year for 5 years. How? Because Amazon just got NBA. TNT lost NBA. NBC is back. ESPN is back. So they got, and then one other. So there's 4 places all paying billions because they upped the ante because Amazon has so much money, and it's a revenue share model. So you have 4 different places that are all paying billions of dollars. So the WWE sat back, Gab, and they went, very interesting. Yeah. We can do the same thing. Netflix, they maxed out at $5 billion. We're not going to get any more money from them. So let's go over here to ESPN. Oh, and let's keep SmackDown on Peacock or with USA Network. Right. So now that's 3. And then Netflix around the world. So now we're getting all these different revenue streams, which is genius. So it's already out there. Sports is already doing it.
Yeah. It's wild. If you would have told me this, I feel like even a year ago, like, yeah, ESPN's going to have the PLEs for pro wrestling on their shows, I probably wouldn't believe it. And I don't think you would have either. I know you have the PTSD with like ESPN and all this stuff, but I even just growing up with brothers and like it being in sports my whole life, like I see this as a positive, and I know as a fan, it's not because, we're angry and we're frustrated, but to be a pro wrestling fan, it's kind of cool if you look at it from the stance of like, we're being taken seriously in the sports world where we were laughed at for so long. And maybe that was also like a Sirius XM thing, because I feel like even at Sirius XM, it's very similar, where finally now it's got its own channel devoted to pro wrestling because, hey, we're fucking here and people love us and the numbers show it and our fans are insane and amazing. But like, I try to see it from that standpoint where, aside from me having to probably become broke to watch pro wrestling, which is probably going to happen if I don't get a job, but it's kind of a cool win, and it's going to hopefully pull in sports fans to start liking pro wrestling. Because when I bring my friends around to watch pro wrestling that don't watch it and want to mock it or say it's fake and all this kind of bullshit, and they watch 5 minutes of Braun fucking Breaker spearing someone at 90 miles an hour, they're like, holy shit. Like, they actually are doing that? Or are they I'm like, no, they're doing that, idiot. They're not faking that. You know what I mean? Like, bigger eyes on the product is still something, and the expansion of that is all positive. I know people are going to kill me because everyone's angry, and I get it, but also from a business standpoint, like, how do you not do it if the opportunity is there?
Well, there is some negatives to this. And the first and foremost, you have to try. What you're describing, you have to try. As a business and growing a fan base, when we're talking about this kind of money, you can't just sit back and collect a check for 10 years from Netflix. You got to be proactive. So that part is good. Here's where the negative comes in. And this is me having spent a decade plus in both places, is that what fans don't realize is that what ESPN is starting to do is they're starting to become a licensee, meaning instead of doing everything themselves, they're paying somebody to put it on their platforms. So when I was at ESPN, we did a lot of our own content. We did SportsCenter 24 hours a day. Well, now you've got the NFL Network, which they now own. And so NFL Network's doing their own production. ESPN is buying it. Which means that if they're spending billions, they give up 10% of their company for the NFL Network. That's in the billions.
Right.
But where do you think they're going to find the money from to buy NFL Network? For WWE, do you think ESPN's doing any of the production for WWE?
Oh, of course not.
Of course not. So they're paying them $1.6 billion. Well, the math has to math. So the first thing to go when you're spending billions, Gabby, is people. And that part sucks. Because right now you're already seeing TKO is firing a bunch of WWE people that live in Connecticut. Yeah. And say it's a travel person. Like Tommy's wife, 36 years, doing all the travel. Did the travel stop? No. But she got fired.
Yeah.
Because they also have travel people at UFC that live on the West Coast. So you're going to start to see it. I guarantee you within a month or two, you're going to see a whole bunch of people getting fired at ESPN because of all of this outside stuff. So if I was to give somebody advice, I'd say go start trying to work for the leagues and stop trying to work for the networks.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to affect the WWE side too, and we're going to be seeing some releases as well?
There's no question, because they want to move everything to the West Coast. Do you know who else just moved to the West Coast, their entire operation?
Didn't WWE?
No, in addition to.
Oh, no.
Like TKO's already there. UFC's already there. The NFL Network moved months ago to Los Angeles.
It's insane.
It was very strange. Why would they move from New Jersey to Los Angeles? Well, now ESPN owns the NFL Network and the Red Zone. So eventually what I believe they want to do, this is going to be years in the future, is have one big campus with all of these networks and all of these things under one place, because it's going to be very cost effective. I think eventually NFL Network will move to Las Vegas, and it'll be one, because Vegas doesn't have any state income taxes.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately, this has been, I think, a very strategic move by move. Nick Khan, say what you want about him, is a brilliant guy. He knows how to put these deals together. He knows how to maximize the dollars. So now under one roof, ESPN, NFL Network, WWE, UFC, all that together.
My only fear and my biggest thing about this too is because what I think about is the product of what we're seeing. Yep. And if it affects the product in any kind of way, or if TripleH doesn't have a lot of say, or the people that, you know, have been around and understand the storylines and like what's happening, if they're kind of shoved to the side for the bigger picture of things, that's my fear. Because if we're paying for it, I want to enjoy what I'm watching. I don't want it to be shoved down my throat in the sense of what isn't making sense or not something I want to see. And
What
that's
do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Like, I feel like even a little bit, you don't feel like a little bit creatively. We've talked about this a little bit. Like, do you think Triple H is 100% making every decision creative?
I don't. But along those lines, here's where I also worry about the product. Is when Netflix started, didn't they say we're going to bring back that edgy R-rated, right?
Yes.
Well, now who owns ESPN?
I don't know.
Disney.
Yeah, that's not good.
So that ain't good for edginess. That ain't good for R-rated content. And then they go, oh, well, let's just put it on Netflix. Okay. What about the packages you have to do for the PLEs to promote the matches? Well, are you going to blur out the edginess? So to me, that's where, to answer your question, I think they could have a little bit of butting heads.
Yeah.
If Disney says, wait, I think that's going over the edge just a little bit. Let's scale that back. We're also paying you for that. And I think there'll be some butting of the heads. And I think Triple H, by the way, today was the role he should be in. All over Get Up, all over ESPN. Yeah. Stop with the nonsense. Let Cody, let John Cena, whoever.
Heyman was in New York too, I believe.
Yeah, just let him be the business guy. And that was perfect today, the role he was in. That's what Vince would have done as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right about the product. I don't want it to get kiddie again, and it was kiddie at one time because they think, oh, who makes mommy and daddy buy everything? The kids are going to be like, I want that doll. I want this. We have to watch WrestleMania. And then that's why they're paying all money, because you want your kids to be happy the most. So that does scare me a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel 100% yet because it did just happen, and there's a lot of information to consume and a lot of things that make sense and a lot of things that do give me some fear. And obviously I want no one to lose their jobs, but that's just what comes with it. Unfortunately, it's going to be an interesting 2026 because I don't think we're at the end of news when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I don't either. But here's a positive I don't think that anybody's talking about yet, is that when I was at both places, there was a severe standing in the way of people being allowed to do what they want. Well, now clearly WWE allows guys to go out and make movies, make extra money, grow their brand. And now ESPN has really started to do that the last 2 or 3 years. So now you can see Cody Rhodes perhaps show up at the Super Bowl and be on the set of ESPN. And this is where I would tell some of the boys, hey, learn your sports.
Yes.
This is an opportunity because The Miz is out there doing sports all the time. Right. To start a golf YouTube channel, which the WWE owns, by the way, I might add. But to me, expand your brand. What do I tell you all the time? Become an expert in things other than wrestling. Right. You are such a unique opportunity in the way the media world is done now. Because 10 years ago, Gabby, remote shows didn't exist. This was not a thing. This is now normal. Yeah. And so if you're a talent, whether it's WWE, ESPN, whatever, become an expert in other things. Maximize your brand, period. And this is an incredible opportunity to do that.
Especially in a sport where things can change like that. And you sometimes need a backup plan because, you know, God is great, but sometimes things go against your favor and you need other things to do. Why the hell not? NFL players do it all the time and they become these kind of characters or these kind of, you know, commentators or people on these shows. And pro wrestlers are like made for that. They're on the mic every single time they're on TV most of the time. And a lot of these they have 10 times more personality, 10 times more talent in that kind of stuff than most athletes, because athletes don't have to talk and cut promos and be a personality or be a character.
I know. So here's what I worry about though. Because you hear all the time, biggest grossing, most money, we're making all this kind of stuff. But you rarely hear from the town, oh, you know what? We went to our mailbox today and we had a bonus check in there for $50,000, which would up morale 100%. Yeah. And is this money going to trickle down to the talent, or is TKO going to continue to do what they've been doing? Because UFC fighters, they're no longer the destination anymore because they don't want to pay fighters maximum dollars anymore. And you're seeing that in the WWE. Karrion Kross, his deal's reportedly up. Yeah. And to me, this is a guy that you pay. So I worry that because of the licenses and the billions they are spending, that they're going to really cut corners when it comes to the talent and things they do production-wise. And that I hope doesn't happen. But it's already starting, to be honest.
I know. And I hope it's not the case, you know, especially when we come off good shows and we come off a Raw and a SummerSlam. We just had all these successful things because, you know, is growing in that way, and me and you will sit there and be like, wow, we didn't think the show was going to be that good, and it was better than we thought, which normally does happen. So I hope you're right. I hope it means positive things. As a fan, I understand when people are pissed, and I get it, and I'm there with you because I'm paying just like you are. I don't get anything for free. It's, it's something we love, and you do feel like they're just squeezing you for all you got at some points, which does feel like that a little bit, but hopefully
they don't give you anything for free.
Right.
When I used to do FanFest, you could go into FanFest and you could call matches with me and Michael Cole. You could do like fun experiences.
Yeah.
I feel like now everything that they do is asking for $1, asking you to reach into your pocket. And wrestling fans are different than really wealthy sports fans. They will spend their last dollar to be included.
Yeah.
Their last dollar to see their favorite person in an autograph show. And they're just a different audience. And I feel bad for a lot of them, but they choose to spend that last dollar. But now they've got to make more, work overtime at their blue-collar 9-to-5 job just to get what they got before.
Also, Coach, there's no off season in pro wrestling. No. You know what I mean? Once football season's done, you don't got to worry about going to the games. You don't got to worry about spending money on stuff. Pro wrestling never ends. It's all year round. So if you're spending money, you got this, you got SummerSlam, you got WrestleMania, you got the Rumble, you got Survivor Series, you got a million different things that you're going to want to be seeing. And that's why it can pump the money that it does, because you don't go a month without it. It's live every single week. You're watching it. Even in the pandemic, they made it happen every single week. It was the one thing that really didn't turn off. It was very different, but it didn't turn off. And that's where it's the biggest difference for me with every other sport, because it's not like you get an off season where you get to breathe and not have to worry about it. You're going to be spending that money all year long for them. So
I just worry that if this was just the WWE deal, I would be okay with it.
Yeah.
But with it having the NFL deal at exactly the same time, I worry that there's going to be a lot of penny pinching involved, because ESPN is really stretching themselves money-wise. And that part, even though I think it could be good, I think that part is going to make it very, very, very difficult for people to kind of break through right now, or get hired right now, I should say.
All right. Well, I wish I could talk to you longer about some other stuff, because,
I got 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right. I mean, how do we pivot for 3 minutes? All right. So we just had Raw happen after SummerSlam. We don't have to talk SummerSlam too much, because I feel like we talked a lot about that already. If you haven't heard us talk about SummerSlam, go listen to The Last Word at Behind the Turnbuckle YouTube. Thank you very much. What was your biggest highlight from Monday Night Raw this week? And then I'll tell you mine, which you already know.
Mine was Becky and Nikki, and the fact that you went viral on Twitter with your video. And to me, there hasn't been a shock and awe moment like that in a really, really long time. And to me, that's what the wrestling business is. And everybody's like, oh man, I can't believe Nikki agreed to it. That relationship's been over for 7 years or 8 years or whatever it is. We all need to learn how to laugh at ourselves. And I promise you that Nikki Bella, after being gone from the WWE for several years, said, you know what, I'm going to go back there. And she went through a very public divorce, a lot of things with Cena. And so I think now she's like, you know what, I'm just going to laugh at myself. And it also allows her to get into the ring with stars like Becky Lynch.
Right.
And so to me, I'm still laughing. I probably watched it 1,000 times, because watching Becky go, oh, it's all about the delivery too. Because I don't think there's a lot of people that can do that.
And for Nikki too, I don't think she's the one who dumped John the second time around. She's the one who was like, no, like he in the show. If you watch the show, he said, I want to get married. I'm going to reverse blah, blah, I'll have kids with you. And she said, no. That's what we saw in the show. And so if you're watching Netflix and you've watched Total Bellas, that's the last, kind of thing that if you pulled up a scene, that's what you would see. Just saying. So, Nikki was doing it.
I don't want to burst your bubble. I don't want to burst your bubble.
Please don't. It's bursted enough. Every time I talk to you, at least once. You know what I mean? And let her float a little bit longer. But I also, obviously that was my highlight, but I loved the Seth stuff, because I thought the Seth Punk stuff at SummerSlam that night was absurdly good, and everything involving Heyman. Also, just shout out to them, because it was also the highlight of WrestleMania night 1. They stole the show at the end of the night on a night 1 where people were not that into it, if you remember.
There's one. If the entrance wasn't so long, here's what I would have done differently a little bit more. I would have had Seth come down the ramp, get into the ring.
Would have taken a long time.
I know, but the way he did it, a lot of fans, including myself, I'll be honest with you, said, wait a second, he didn't even have to do any of that in Atlanta at Saturday night's main event to cash it in, because he was right there. CM Punk watched him for well over a minute. There was no surprise to it. And that's why, to me, I would love to come down. Is really Seth Rollins going to bury the hatchet and shake his hand and say congratulations, turn around, start going out, and then go, oh, and then drop them when he's 3 feet away? Instead, CM Punk stood there and watched him run all the way to, again, small thing, but I also love the fact that they tried it. That Seth Rollins for 3 weeks was never outside, never filmed walking, and that to me is the WWE I grew up in. Is an OG swerve where you don't know. And anybody said, oh, I knew it. Bullshit. They didn't all know it. They predicted it, and they said it could happen. But I love when you go that far, because that's what we used to do. Not the new breed. The new breed doesn't give a shit. But Seth Rollins, you can tell, he's an OG, and that was awesome.
What if, like, Heyman had him in a wheelchair going down the ramp or something? So it was
but Kevin Nash already done that.
I don't know, but I don't know these things. What if Bronson and Braun like carried him down? You know what I mean? Like in a way that was like kind of could have been fun. Done that. Like, but I just want to talk. Obviously, I can't do anything. I just want to talk to you, and they just carry him down, and then he's in and like trying to get in, like all feeble, and like I don't even know if feeble's a word. That wasn't meek, like meek little thing trying to get in.
Well, meek is right now the only criticism I have of Seth Rollins, because I think he's in phenomenal shape. I think he's going to create this big dick energy thing with that faction. Yeah. But he's got to start laying some shit in. Like hitting CM Punk with the briefcase, he barely touched him. And when you're on a big thing, I'm telling you, this is what happens backstage. The OGs anyway. Is you walk up and go, hey, man, I'm going to have to lay this in with the briefcase. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. But we got to make this shit look good. That used to happen all the time. But he literally went to hit him, Gabby, and barely touched him. Barely touched him. And right now, Seth's been doing that with his – I mean, Jelly Roll's punches are 10 times better than Seth Rollins right now. That's just fact.
I also think he needs to change his music if he's going full heel, because I don't know.
Well, they did.
No, but everyone's singing everything he does. Like, you can't be singing his music, especially if his feud's going to be against Punk, beloved Punk. Why is everyone cheering and singing Seth Rollins' music? He needs to be very much hated, and he's kind of like in that weird section where, like, I don't even hate him. I kind of like what he's doing so much that I almost kind of cheer for him a little bit.
He's a cool heel.
But that gray area, to be as bad as you're supposed to be, and you're going up against an uber babyface and Punk that everybody loves, I think that needs to just be tweaked a little bit. If I had to tweak something, but I also love it. So just saying. But anyway, thank you so much. I know you're busy AF as per usual. Gotta go. Yep. Everybody can hear you on, I mean, you have a million shows. Like Sirius XM, you know, somewhere I'm a little, I think I know that place. I don't know. You have that from 2, I believe, what,
2 to 4. We have a morning show on national TV on Amazon Prime, on DirecTV, YouTube TV. It's not on the ESPN app yet, but we're working on it. Called Coach and Company. And then we have the Coach and Bro Show, which we just signed a deal. And it's Thursday mornings live. We just moved our time slot because it's killing it. And so me and Vince Russo, who, by the way, is not a fan of Unreal. Don't bring up Unreal to Vince Russo.
Bro, don't do it, bro. Don't
do it.
And then we do the last word every Monday after Raw.
It's quickly becoming my favorite hour. The numbers are really starting to grow, and you're really starting to come into your own. So I think in the next 12 months, there's big things in store for you in a lot of different places. I really think so.
We're going to write this one down. Mark this one down. Throw it into the universe. Put it on a piece of paper, and I'm going to put it under my pillow to sleep with. I love you, Coach. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you making the time for me. And to everybody listening, stay safe, have a good week, and we will talk to you next week on Gabby AF.